Hello, everybody. Welcome to Biweekly Meltdowns, or not even annual, weekly.
Yeah, this is the one time a year show.
I'm so used to saying, like, welcome to my Weekly Meltdowns coverage of insert show name, but that is not the case here. We are doing another BS breakdown to hold us over until Big Brother comes along. Allison is away tonight. We're giving her the night off to just like relax, spend some time with mom. Hi, mom. If she's watching with us, hello. But Beth, how are you doing?
I'm tired. This is, I was telling you right beforehand, and I'll tell everyone here. This starting a new job and also trying to move and also balancing podcasts and streaming and then Pride Month, like all of this happening at the same time is a lot.
Yeah. Well, happy Pride Month to you.
Yeah, well, happy Pride Month to you, and happy Pride Month to any and all of our beautiful LGBTQIA2+ individuals who are either watching us or supporting us in any way. We really appreciate you, and we send you all the unconditional love and support in the world.
Yes. We love all of you. And I actually, speaking of Pride Month, because it's like, it's we can start talking about this actually. I feel like it's like a meme in like LGBTQIA people that like Pride Month has just become this like ridiculous like cash grab for like all types of like corporations to just like see how they can somehow like sneak a rainbow into whatever. And I think
their logo or whatever. Yeah.
Well, on the Red Lobster official Instagram, I just saw they have made rainbow cheddar biscuits for Pride Month. So yeah. So,
but is that just
Red
a
Lobster,
picture, or are they actually serving rainbow cheddar biscuits?
Like it is like clearly just like a like Photoshop filter that's some like poor like I want to say CBS intern because that's another name. But.
Well, I mean, honestly, we should say VH1 intern or whoever Paramount Plus intern decided to screw up the announcement of All Stars 6 for RuPaul's Drag Race last week. That was hysterical, but good times.
Wait, tell me about that. What happened?
So first of all, they leaked onto Twitter. Essentially, they made like a countdown a day in advance when there was no other like prep that there was going to be. So everyone then knew that there was going to be a surprise announcement the next day at 11. Yeah. And then they had to say like, we're going to be releasing this at 11. 11 came. 11:15 came.
Oh no.
11:30 came. And I don't think they actually released it for like another hour or so. Like it was just so bad. And so everyone was just like, first it got released that it was happening. Then they had to admit that it was happening. And then it happened late. And so everyone's just sitting there like, what's going on? So good times.
Why are CBS and now like Paramount Plus like interns just like collectively always the worst? Like for the longest. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I'll take.
I was gonna say for the longest time on the Survivor section, where you could like see the cast of like any season, they randomly had Adam Klein's name and bio and picture for season 40 in every single season. So you could go to like Survivor like Marquesas and see like Adam Klein's like picture in so much more higher res than those old like film shows used to be. I love it. I love that for him.
The reason why the interns are like that at Paramount Plus is because I didn't vet them and support them the way that I'm doing with my students in my new job, where I get them ready for an internship and to work professionally. So clearly, listen, if anybody from Viacom is out there, if anybody from Paramount Plus is out there, CBS, wherever, if you want a really good intern, they're going to be one of my kids.
Yeah. There you go.
Please.
Beth she knows all the right people. Yeah. Or you could just tell Jesus hoodies like Julia Chen Moonves has taken to Instagram to do. Have you seen that?
It's been bad. Yeah, I have. My goodness.
Yeah, she's Jesus hoodies. But I want to say hey to everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us for our BS breakdown. We have Dolores, Liza, Sam, Dejan. I think that's his name. Yeah. Liza says this is what Allison is paying the big bucks for.
That's true. Right. Yep. And Dolores asked, did Beth get over Dragula? I don't know what you mean by this. I have never gotten over Dragula. I love Dragula. So I don't know.
I just to like tease a little bit for like while we're coming, still like just a little housekeeping. So this is the first week that we are doing separate BS breakdown and Dragula coverage. So Dragula will be our patron exclusive show. I posted the link for the unlisted YouTube video for us to all hang and chat and talk Dragula episodes 3 and 4, which I'm very excited to talk about.
I'm super
I really like
Tyler. I am going to interrupt you. You are somewhat robotic when you're talking, as an FYI. So I wanted to ask if you have any programs open that might be affecting your. Sometimes you'll freeze.
All these. Yeah. Sorry. I'm going to connect to my Ethernet cable. 1 second.
Okay, sounds good. I like the
the shit we do on BS Breakdown.
I know. I like the slow scoot of your chair over to the side. Like I'm just gonna.
I'm just gonna casually just like scooch on.
1 second, guys. I just gotta get over here and.
Okay, I'm switching over to Ethernet now, so I might disconnect for like 1 second.
You're totally fine. You're totally fine. I know you do. I love your dress ups. Thank you so much, Dolores. Where is Allison tonight? Allison is out. She's not able to make it tonight. She is spending some nice time with her family, which is what we can always appreciate and do. As you all know, just this has been a crazy year for everybody, but especially whoops. I'm trying to there we go.
Sorry, wait.
I'm trying to remove your old one. Here,
there's two of me. Okay.
But I can't kick it because it's under the thing. Well, we'll just stay in the background. You know what?
Is this better?
It's so much better.
Okay,
I like being over here, so you're gonna go on the left.
God bless. And I'm the lefty, so you know that.
Oh, perfect.
Right.
I'm a righty. Wait, does that mean if we go like this with our dominant hands, so we?
Yeah. There you go. I love it. So Beth, you're in the process of moving to New York City. I actually got to see you in person last week.
I know we haven't talked about this, have we?
No, we haven't. So I got to go to Cobble Hill to meet up with Beth, and so that's the second time I've like met you, or not met you, but like seen you in person.
Seen you in person, yeah.
Yeah, and we measured like all the things. We went to Raymore Flanagan, picked out some furniture. It was a fun day. I liked it.
I had a great time, and just like if anybody ever questioned if Tyler and I would be getting along in real life, like, first of all, we are the same person.
Yes, true.
I also I have to say, Tyler's just such a nice guy. Like, he was like, Beth, I just want to let you know, like, you just look so good and that kind of thing. And then
you do look good. I was like, who's that hottie walking down the street? Oh my goodness. I need your fan to cool me down a little bit over here.
Listen, I'll have plenty and then you can borrow some.
Perfect.
By the way, happy Pride.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Did you get that from Target?
Target,
yes.
Yes. Well, the nice thing about Target is that they actually like do support LGBTQIA people all year long, not just during Pride. But meanwhile, I'm so nice that the time I complimented Tyler was afterwards when I texted him, by the way, you smelled really nice.
That compliment made my day. So like one of my worst fears is like smelling bad and like everybody around me like being like, oh my God, he's in like making like eye contact, being like, do you smell this guy type of thing. So that made my day.
No, literally, like, you know how some people just have like a scent that goes well with their soap or their cologne, it just like matches really well. Whatever you had going on was just like, oh, this is what Tyler smells like, and he smells really good. Like, it wasn't like overbearing, but it was just like when we went in for a hug, I was like, oh, this is like nice and homey. Like, I liked it. It was like, oh, if I could bottle this up, or not bottle it up, but like if I could put it like in a candle and be like Tyler. It was really nice.
So I use Everyman Jack for body wash. And then I've used the same cologne since high school. It's
you know what works for you.
Yeah, and I love it. It's Calvin Klein Euphoria, and I swear by that cologne. It's like my absolute fave. So just little spritz.
So Tyler literally sees me after I have gotten up early, driven to Albany, got on the train, rode the train, got in the subway, came to Brooklyn, dropped off my stuff, and then walked like, I don't know, like 4 blocks, not that bad. And I see him and I'm like texting him, FYI, I'm sweating. I'm gross. Like anything above 30 degrees and I sweat the moment I walk. First of all, because I am out of shape. Like my body's just like, we need to cool this woman down, whatever. But secondly, like I'm just so not used to walking around because anytime I need to go someplace, I could just drive. So this is one of the reasons why I'm so excited to move to New York City so I can get back to walking shape and those kind of things. But I was just like, girl, I apologize in advance. I am spritzing here. Like it's a sprinkler off of my forehead. So good times. But I was just like, to like put salt in the wound. I was like, oh God, I'm this sweaty mess, but like he smells so good. He walked and took the subway too, but hopefully someday I will be able to be like Tyler. And
listen, as somebody who lives in Manhattan, like I just want to reiterate, I do not go to Brooklyn often at all. So, but Beth, I will always make a trip to Brooklyn for you.
I told you I'm gonna break you, and you're gonna like Brooklyn.
Honestly, the commute wasn't that bad. Like I usually
it's like a 40-minute ride or so.
Yeah, so like when I think like going to Brooklyn, like I imagine like me like strapping my boots on, like, you know, getting all of this shit ready, like packing for like an overnight adventure, packing like a tent and like a survival kit, and you know I feel like I'm about to like weather the elements to go out to Brooklyn. But it was just a simple train ride, and I'm just like super dramatic. So I was just playing some Taylor Swift, and it was a fun ride. Yeah.
Listen, to be fair, where I am going to be is like 1-2 stops away from Manhattan. So it's not like really far into Brooklyn. So depending which line you're on, I might be the first stop. So what's wrong with Brooklyn, Dolores wants to know.
So I worked in Brooklyn as a graphic designer for like 2-ish years, and I lived in Astoria at the time. So like the commute there was really terrible. I had to like take the yellow line down to Union Square and then take the gray line over. But it was in Bushwick, so it was just very like the word I always use to describe Brooklyn is dusty. It just like there's like a certain like
Bushwick a few years ago. Then yeah.
It was very dusty. I felt like everything was just like hipstery, you know, like going to get like hand-me-downs at like a consignment shop type of thing.
Listen, it's in Williamsburg, okay, where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm in the area that I live, or I'm going to be living in, which is Cobble Hill, is like I'm a poser living there. Like it is like this is where the rich white families live, and then there's me.
Yeah, there you go. So in that vein, I said, like, you know, Beth, you have an Equinox nearby. You should hop on that Equinox life, because I participate in the Equinox gym, and I'm telling you, it is like an experience. They treat you like an absolute king there, so speaking of the showers and like smelling good, like their amenities are just like out of this world. It's like all Kiehl's products. So you just like, you have like this like body wash and shampoo, but also like a nice like Kiehl's like face wash and stuff, and eucalyptus towels. And it's just that's like my one like monthly like splurge, is that Equinox like gym experience.
Well, I knew that there were subtle undertones of how sweaty I was, and you kept talking about the shower. So just kidding. And,
well, it was funny. Like we went to so after we like met up and like we measured like all of the stuff in your apartment.
Which by the way, I literally was like, Tyler, thank you so much. Measure my apartment for me. Like I have a hole in my shirt. I just bought this 2 days ago.
I'm sorry for your loss.
That's okay. I'll sew it. But I literally was like, Tyler, it's so good to see you. Let's get a tour of the building. The broker leaves, and then I'm like, all right, we've got to measure this out. And like, bless Tyler, he gets right on his hands and knees and starts like measuring everything out. Such a doll. And I just sat there and I was like, yeah, I think maybe if we're like this, what do you think? And he's just like, I could go over here, like purely like just did everything for me. It's such a doll.
I always say like, if I could do it all over again and like not be a wedding photographer, like choose like another career, it would definitely be something with like interior design or like architecture. Like I love doing that stuff. I love like making those measurements and marking things off and finding furniture, so we went to Raymore and Flanagan afterwards, and it was so funny. I feel like the salesperson thought we were like a couple.
Okay, so legit did, because even though I clearly was the one driving the conversation, which, by the way, this is just internalized misogyny at its finest.
Yes.
So I'm the one who's clearly asking about I did not help, and I kept saying it in even the video I took of the apartment. I kept saying, like, yeah, we're going to put this over here. I did keep saying we, so I'll give him a certain level of slack, but I would say something like, I don't know if I really like this. I'm thinking for my apartment, I want something like this. And he would turn to Tyler and be like, well, if you like, I could show you other things over here. And like then he would turn to Tyler and go, oh, we've got, another bed over here. Would you guys like that? And Tyler would be like, I don't know, Beth. Would you like that?
Right. I was really trying to be like, yeah, so I'm not living here. Beth, what do you think about this? And he was just like, and he was like doing his like typical like salesperson small talk. I feel like to me more than you, like,
which I was fine with, because I was like, I don't have time to think about you. I'm trying to focus on what I'm buying.
Yeah, he was like, so like the first thing like salespeople always say to me is, "Oh, I love your tattoos. Like that's so cool." And I know that's just like a way to like just like compliment you and like make you, yeah, exactly. It's whatever. But yeah, it was so funny. Like I was like, we're not a couple. I'm just here for like emotional support.
Okay, but here's the other brilliant moment that was before we even got to Raymore and Flanagan. We're walking down Fulton Street, the Fulton Street Mall.
Yeah.
And this guy is selling, like pepper spray, and he goes, hey, clearly talking to me, and he's going, hey, he might not be around tonight. You might need this, or something like that. And I was like, him talking about, listen, Tyler is fit. Okay. Tyler does strength training.
No.
I fully have all the confidence in the world that he could absolutely protect me or him. But I did think it was funny that he was like, "You might not be around tonight. You might need some pepper spray."
That is so funny. Like, yeah, just like everywhere we went, I feel like they were like putting me in charge of our fake relationship.
You know what? I'm looking forward to that. I always love having somebody wherever I live who I can have that fake boyfriend figure, because I have to say, as misogynistic as this is, guys will leave women alone that they believe are like property of other guys. And it doesn't matter if they're like gay or whatever. Like if you can pass it, like you're my boyfriend or something like that, it's helpful. Yeah. Now I will play that role. Woman.
Yeah,
of course. I'm a capable woman, but it's still nice to like, there's some level of like, I gotta respect that dude. Not respect the woman, but just respect the dude. So
it's just an easy out for you to like not have to deal with the bullshit. So like whatever game you need me to play in that moment, I'm totally happy to.
We'll come up with our own phrase that's just like, all right.
Dolores said,
"Oh my god." Oh my god, for a second I thought she said Tyler was fixed.
I am not fixed. However, even if I was, I don't think that would really affect me. In any
I don't know.
I'm not making babies anytime soon. I'm sorry to disappoint everybody, all 16 people that are tuning in right now.
Wait, time out. I have a really funny TikTok that I don't know what the actual numbers are, so bear with me.
I'm ready.
I saw a guy say, I learned today that a sperm holds the equivalent of like 500 megabytes of information.
Oh, huh. That's interesting.
So, yeah. So he was like, so every ejaculation is like whatever terabytes of information. And then he's like, yeah, it's a lot of information to swallow.
I was just thinking in terms of like how many gigabytes do I go through for like a wedding, and it's usually around like 100 gigs of like photos for a wedding. So yeah, with one single load, if you will, I could store so many weddings on there. Why am I buying like these when I have
imagine if we found a way that someone's like, oh, I ran out of memory. Hold on, I'll get one out.
It's just, and I just like store like all my photos in like little like vials like this.
It
I'm like, oh yeah, let me just plug this in real quick.
Okay, but now what reminds me? Do you know Harry Potter?
Yes,
Like,
I know what you mean.
Is that weird?
Yeah. But instead of dripping from the eye, it's dripping from yeah.
We just cracked the code. The
Yeah.
conceived stuff that's memory is actually ejaculate that some reason has like.
I mean, I have to imagine that
memory.
was like J.K. Rowling's like first draft is like instead of a tear, it's like semen instead. But the publishers are like, yeah, you know, maybe we should like go back to the drawing board on that one.
You know, she's fucking crazy. So
yes, she is. Can we talk about that?
Yes, she's a TERF. Continue.
Yeah. So what is a TERF exactly? Because I didn't hear that term until like it was used in like J.K. Rowling terms.
Sure. So TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists, which means that those are feminists who don't believe that trans women are women and therefore should not be included in feminism.
Okay.
A lot of them believe that they take away from real women and pose a threat to women. So like it's like very transphobic versus like feminism. The whole idea of it is that everybody, regardless of your gender, regardless of your parts, benefits from feminism because like I always like to think of it like this, right? Like we police men and masculinity way more than we police women and femininity. Women have more of a freedom to do things that are masculine or feminine, and that's because we value masculinity, but we don't value femininity. So when we all root for femininity, that allows men who maybe are the more feminine side or have like emotions and want to be emotionally smart and intelligent with things, it allows them the freedom to do that. But so that's like why feminism is so important. It's not just about the equality of the sexes or the genders or at a social and political economic sense. It's also about raising the respect for femininity in all people, regardless of their gender, and making it equally as important as masculinity.
I see. So two follow-up questions. So
yes.
Is this like a UK thing? Like are people over across the pond, are they like less like progressive about accepting like trans people than us like Americans are, or is this just like a J.K. Rowling is just trans?
No, this is widely in the US and in the UK. Like this is a lot of Western quote unquote countries, these countries that have been more accepting of the LGBTQIA plus community as a whole, have this issue. And a lot of it continues to stem down from, honestly, systemic issues within the patriarchy. So listen, you got me a little bit halfway with a beer. I'm going to go off about the patriarchy, but
do it. Listen, any excuse for me to say fuck the patriarchy, like I am adult, so
listen, it's Pride. We're saying fuck the patriarchy.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, what it comes down to is a fear, and it's not uncommon, especially among white women. There's also something known as white feminism, which is the idea that like you're only working towards things that like white women would have access to and not the entirety of women of all different races. So when it's my whole thing, and I've maintained this, and I know many people agree with me, is that you cannot call yourself a feminist unless you are encompassing all women, what regardless of their identity, or not even just women, but people who are femme, people who are, which means that they present feminine, but they may not actually identify as a woman. People who are femme, it also all people of all different intersectionalities of other identities. So regardless of their race, regardless of their sexuality, regardless of their ability, regardless of their age, their religion, anything that's a protected identity, you can't call yourself a feminist unless you think about women within all of those different areas and all those different things. Same with, you can't call yourself a race ally and not include women or trans people or gay people or whatever. You can't call yourself
Yeah.
Any of these things, they all intersect together, and that's why it's important to think of that. But that is an issue that we see all over the place. So it's not exclusive to the UK. It's come to light more because of J.K. Rowling.
Of course, yeah.
She who must not be named, as some people would like to say.
So my next question is, does that taint how you feel about like Harry Potter as a series, as a like work of art?
Yes. I mean, Harry Potter, I'm obsessed. I've always been obsessed. It meant so much to me. I grew up in like every time the book or movie came out, I was the age of that group. So like when the first movie came out, I was 11.
Yeah.
When the fourth book came out, I was 14. So like I was the same age as those characters, and I loved it.
That makes sense.
But I also am a white middle class woman who could see herself in those books. And then you look in a little bit further, and it's not just like that there's like a convenience factor here, right? Oh yeah, the gay characters are like not explicitly gay we have to explain it after the fact.
Yeah.
The fact that we had one black character with the last name Shacklebolt, the only Chinese character was Cho Chang.
Cho Chang, yeah.
Like there's issues there that are not just about her issues on feminism and what she's said outside of the series, but also like these little weird implicit things that she put into the series as well. That doesn't take away from how it made me feel growing up, but it does taint the series for me. And it does not make me want to spend any money that supports her, which unfortunately is a lot. So I will never buy anything that's official. I'll buy things that are fan made. I'll go onto Etsy and buy things all day long, but you won't see me buy another book, a ticket to the Broadway show, go down to that stuff. And people can do whatever they want. I mean, I'm not going to tell you can't do those kind of things. People are going to do whatever they want. That's completely fine. I personally feel like I can't do it because I can't support that.
Yeah. That's interesting because like I think about this a lot in terms of like my favorite old sitcom, which is Roseanne, and how like the offensive things that she said that like ultimately like made the network like pull her from the reboot that they did, and they like renamed it The Connors.
Right?
Yeah, she died of an opioid overdose in The Connors.
Wow.
Which is like it's I think about like, does that taint how much I enjoy Roseanne as a TV show, as like a product outside of like her like really terrible things that she said, right? And I feel like I still do enjoy it, but it's just like a little thing that's like always unfortunately going to be in the back of your mind while you're watching it that you can't really turn off. So it's so hard to kind of like separate that. And that kind of leads us into talking about your favorite old sitcom, which is The Nanny. So you've been covering it on your podcast with Dylan, Hot Mess Moments. How are you enjoying like what is your perspective of like Dylan watching this show for the first time, you know, because like you have seen it so many times. So like you have like cemented like your like thoughts about the series, your thoughts about each episode and like their growth. But like you are experiencing somebody experience it for the first time, which is so unique and so cool to like be a part of. Right. So what's that like?
It's super interesting to me because so when the show came out in the 90s, when it premiered in 93, I was 5. And then when it ended in 99, I was 11. Yeah. And so I remember my mom watching it and like I would watch with her. I don't think we sat down every week and watched it together, but like I certainly remember watching it and enjoying it a lot. And then it started playing on reruns on like Nickelodeon at like 4 o'clock, like 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock. So 4:30, 5:30. It was like a 2-hour block, 4 episodes, every night. And I got to the point in high school where I'd come home from sports practices at 5 and catch the second hour. And I loved it. So I just connected so well with the show that was like, we just got DVR at that point. And I would record the series every single day. So like throughout the year, I would go through each season at least 2 times. So for 4 years, I watched the entirety of the series 8 times in order, like at least.
Yeah.
And then I bought the DVDs when I went to college. They only had like the first season or two or whatever. So I just loved it a lot. And then I went to college and it would be on Nick at Night. And I've never been one that's like super like, let's stay out all night partying, drinking. I was all about let's pregame. And then you guys go to the party and I go to my room and pass out. So my pre-gaming was just gaming. There was no pre. I was not doing anything afterwards. They would all be like, it's 12:30. Let's go to the party. And I'm like, I'm going to go to my bed and watch The Nanny while I'm drunk. Like, that's what I did. I studied abroad in London and I was so homesick half the time, just because I'd been the farthest I was ever away from my family. That the only thing that brought me comfort was they had full episodes on YouTube and I would just sit there and watch The Nanny. Like, this is a show that I've literally watched every episode, no joke, 25 or more times, just because that's how it's been. And like, I think that sounds like a hyperbole, but it's really not.
Yeah, I believe it.
So watching somebody new come through and experience it has actually been really interesting because they're watching it within the context of 2021 and going back. And when we think about it, we are almost 30 years away from it. Yeah. And on top of that, like if you were to do what was the 90s like looking 30 years behind, that was the 60s. So that shows you like in the 90s. That is crazy. You're making references to things that are 20, 30 years older because those were the references that Fran Drescher grew up. She was born in like the early 60s. So her references from when she was a child and a teenager and in her early years in college and such were the 60s, the 70s, and the early 80s. So when I think about that now, it's like we're getting references not only to the 90s that were current at that time, we're getting the references to things that are up to 60 years out of our time because they're referencing that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to watch and say, I've actually never understood that joke, but I laugh along anyway. Like, I don't know what she's referencing here. But then I'll watch like Dylan and he'll be like really lost and be like, you know what? It's cut your losses with it, you know? But I have had a few different perspectives on things. And it's been really interesting to see him watch it and be like, you know what? I think you're right. I think this is probably what I've never really put my finger on, or I didn't really care. But now that we're sitting here really analyzing it, I kind of get it.
Well, like how you're going through that, like watching Dylan experience The Nanny for the first time is how I'm going through like watching you experience my favorite show, Lost, which is the other show that you guys are recapping on Hot Mess Moments. And like, of course, I'm not going to say any spoilers. Like, don't worry about that or anything. But how, like, so you've seen 10 episodes so far.
Yes. And
how do you feel?
Our newest episode came out today. Yeah. And I will say that is the ragiest I think I've ever been on any podcast, including this one ever. So
what made you rage? I haven't seen the episode yet, so.
Men.
Maybe it always goes back to fuck the patriarchy and male rage.
For those that know Lost, it was the episode where we see Claire's background. And so it's like her origin story of, you know, how she became pregnant and like all that kind of stuff. And to me, it was just apparent that throughout the entirety of the episode, it's men telling her what to do with her pregnancy, with her body, over and over and over, and not listening to her and giving her any agency. And that is so often the case. Like, I can't tell you how often this, like, I'm not pregnant, but like I feel that on my own level for my own things. And it's just like, God. So I just was like, I got out of my chair at one point when we were watching. So Dylan and I watched both episodes back to back with each other. Like we'll watch, it's actually kind of funny. We watch Lost first and then end with The Nanny.
Okay.
And then we podcast the opposite way. We start with The Nanny and then go
That's
to Lost.
Probably the way to do it, honestly.
The reason I think is because you can binge both shows really easily, but I think that there's this idea of like calming down after Lost with The Nanny, which is really nice. Yeah. And then with The Nanny, it's like a nice way to introduce like us getting into our show.
Yeah.
And then
after like a stressful hour of like what the fuck is going on, like you need a little comfort food to you know just kind of like cleanse your palate and everything. So I totally get it. Yeah. Huh. I'm so excited to keep like watching that podcast because it's
totally. And so we're also so thankful for you. So for those that don't know, every episode, Dylan and I do an LVP and an MVP for each. Like he, as somebody who's never watched The Nanny, will give his most valuable player and least valuable player award to a character in the episode. I do the same for Lost. And Tyler here has agreed to keep track of that for us. So what we're going to do is after we do our finale episodes, I think we're going to do a season 1 wrap-up episode, Dylan and myself, where we're going to look at the statistics of that. We're going to look at what we thought was great, what we saw overarching themes for things. We want to do some fun things with that before we dive into season 2 of both the shows. And so this is going to play a role in that way. But
yeah, I can't wait to like present the data to you guys of like who is like the season's like MVP and LVP for both The Nanny and Lost.
It's so funny because I'm sitting here being like, I think on paper people would assume if they know the shows, they'd be like, I assume that Fran Drescher or Fran Fine is going to be the MVP every week. But as I think about it, I don't think he's made Fran an MVP too often.
I think he's made her once. I think that's
I feel like he's made like Niles or Grace, or like he was really into Gracie early in the season. He's not so much now, which is like understandable. But I think that there's some weird moments there, and I think that we've also done cop outs where like, or he's definitely done cop outs where it's like this one-time character gets the LVP, which will kind of skew the data.
Yeah, and that's okay. If they have earned the LVP, they have earned the LVP.
I mean, last week he gave it to a one-time character as an MVP, and it was because it's Cloris Leachman. And how are you not going to give that to her? But
yeah, let's see. So currently the MVP for The Nanny in Dylan's eyes is Niles. He's given Niles the MVP 3 times, and you have given Locke the MVP 3 times on Lost,
which is so funny because now I'm like, okay, you'll hear in this podcast, but I'm not high on Locke anymore after this episode, which is weird because he doesn't play a big role, but I have theories. So yeah,
I've met Terry O'Quinn in real life because my uncle is good friends with him. Like Terry O'Quinn's from Maryland, which is like where I was born and raised and everything. So he was like, I was like coming up to New York just to like see like a Broadway show or something, and Terry O'Quinn was up here as well. So my uncle got us in touch with each other. So I got to like meet him after like a dinner or something like that. I have a picture on Facebook with him somewhere, but it's very cool to meet John Locke in real life.
Yeah, I will say I think he's one of the best characters on the show, and I actually do say in this week's episode, I realized after watching this episode, there's like no character I actually truly like, which is what we talk about having characters that are really gray. They're not black and white. They're very gray. But I will say in terms of characters, I find him very fascinating. So
yeah, I'll definitively say like my favorite character is Jack. And I think next week's episode is really going to give you a lot of insight as to why. I'm so excited to hear like Mike Bloom talk about it with you guys. Yeah, go for it.
I'm so excited to have. Sorry guys, I'm going for beer number 2.
Bro, you have earned it after like all of the like work and moving and shit. Like you and I have both had like crazy busy month.
So listen, Tyler, you are obviously a wedding photographer. You were about to embark in a post-COVID, everyone delayed their wedding. Now they all want to get married and get engaged and have engagement parties and have.
I mean, this May was like I think the busiest month I've ever had with like shoots, which I'm like I'm so thankful for. I'm so thankful to be busy because like this time last year I was just kind of like twiddling my thumbs back and forth, waiting for the world to get better. But
am I going to get an unemployment check or is it over now? Like, it's like that we didn't know in like May, June.
Right. It's like you guys have known like how much I've like traveled and shot this month and everything. So,
and you've had like big events too. Like they weren't like,
I shot a 10-hour Indian wedding last weekend.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, it's not like I didn't mean it to be like these huge like super spreader feeling events.
No.
I'm talking about in terms of like length of time that you've been doing this. It's a lot.
And the more we get into summer, the hotter these weddings get, which is like the worst. Shooting. All right. But yeah. So we're gonna hop over to our next coverage now. I just got the thumbs up from our patron Chris that we're all set and ready to go.
Yay! Before we go over and hop and end this, I do want to just acknowledge both to Dolores and Liza. I've been reading your comments all night.
Yes.
And I so enjoy it. I actually have never really watched Cheers. I've seen few episodes here and there, but I feel like it's a show I should probably go back and watch. And I also want to say, Liza, I don't think that you're crazy for thinking John Locke is hot. I think that there's something about him that is intriguing.
It's mystical, right?
Yeah. Like, I don't personally find him hot, but I could see how you would. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Also, don't gauge people's attractiveness by my level because I'm a friggin' demisexual. So physical attraction for me is like, I can appreciate people's physical attraction, but I don't necessarily want to do anything about it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anybody on Lost that I really find attractive, and not really. Yeah, but I don't know. Okay, so all of our patrons, we're gonna hop over to our patron exclusive show for Dragula. So I shared the link on our Patreon page, so definitely hop on over to there. But thank you. Liza says it's his eyes. It's his eyes.
You know, he does. Well, I will say in the beginning of this episode in Claire's dream, his eyes are black and white, which again, black and white theme.
Yes.
That was not as attractive as much as it was creepy.
Yes. Real quick, Sam wants to know what is demisexual, and then we'll.
Great. Yes, Sam, thank you for asking. So demisexual is under the ace or the asexual umbrella, and basically it means that I don't experience sexual attraction to people unless there's an emotional bond. So for what's more important to me typically is romantic attraction. So in order to kind of understand the ace spectrum, you have to understand that some people, there's a whole variety of different kinds of asexual people. Some people have low sex drives or no sex drive. Some people are sex repulsed, which means that they don't find sex something that they want to do, like they're repulsed by it. Some people like myself do have sex drives, but just like it's not necessarily because of people, it's just because like we're human and like we have those feelings.
Yeah.
And for me personally, I experience sexual attraction with somebody when I've either had a shared experience with them, an emotional bond, that kind of thing. So it's much harder to find somebody sexually attractive where I'm like, yeah, I want to have sex with you, but I'm more likely to have romantic feelings for somebody, meaning like I want to date them or be close to them, cuddle with them, shower each other with gifts and attention and that kind of thing. It's like everything but the sex portion, if that makes sense. So I consider myself biromantic, which means that I find people of more than one gender, which I might even be pan. I'm not really sure pan romantic or not, but just basically mean like I like people for people and I find them more romantically attractive. And then hopefully it aligns sometimes when I get to know them and maybe become sexually attracted to them. That's kind of what I mean.
There you go. Chris says, if anyone's a patron, I'm the guest.
Yes.
So okay. Yes. All right. So we're gonna hop off. Thank you guys all for tuning in and everything. And Allison will be back next week with us for our next BS breakdown. Everybody have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.